are you guys?
We're Star Fox.
I found someone selling Star Fox 64 for cheap and I thought, fuck it, why not? I'll get it. And then I got all of them. And now here I am talking about all of them. Hi, and I'm just gonna ramble about the games I played. And yeah, I'm a dirty fucking European, so that's why it says Lilac Wars and Star Wing. Nintendo was worried that Star Fox was too close to a company called Star Vox. And then, after Adventures, they just called it Star Fox here too. That was weird. I started off playing Star Fox 64 and fuck me, is that a good game. There's just something fun and satisfying about it. I also really like that it's a short game. It's the type of game that you can keep coming back to and have fun every time, especially because there's so many planets and different routes you can take. So the story is basically Andross is a piece of shit. He's trying to take over the whole Lilac system. He tried it before, but Star Fox's dad stopped him. Fox's dad died and Andross is back. And since you're mercenaries, you're being paid by the Coronarian army to save them. So you got Slippy, Peppy, Falco, and Fox. I enjoy the characters, they're very clear cut, and they have some fun banter. And the game's got a good amount of variety too. I mean, you got the tank missions, you got the underwater missions, you got all range mode, as well as the normal Star Fox fly through obstacles and fight a boss type thing. It's a simple, classic, fun game. I can only imagine what people who were waiting for a sequel expected. You probably already know this, but the next game is actually a Zelda-like action-adventure. Rare was making a new IP called Dinosaur Planet, and it looked hella impressive for a Nintendo 64 game. But then Shigeru Miyamoto was like, hey, that guy kind of looks like Fox. Can we make this a Star Fox game? We kind of need one of those for the GameCube, so... And that's why we got Star Fox Adventures. I love seeing people talk about this game because people are so polarized on it. You will find one or the other. People love it or absolutely hate it, and very few people are in the middle. I actually thought it was really good, but I totally understand why some people were upset by this choice. Maybe it's just because it reminds me of a lot of games I played as a kid. I mean, this is like my era of childhood games. I have to admit, I do wish it was released as Dinosaur Planet. Star Fox inclusion is kind of awkward. It's weird too that Crystal was supposed to be half of the game. You were supposed to play as her for a lot of it. But they probably didn't want a Star Fox game to mostly feature a different character. So the story is that General Scales wants to take over this planet and Crystal tries to stop him, then eventually fails and gets trapped in this crystal. Kind of ironic. So then Pepper contacts Fox and tells him to go save the planet. I don't know what the direction for the voice acting was, but Peppy, Pepper, and Sleepy all sound super annoying. Just listen to how different the voices are in this game compared to 64.
You're becoming more like your father.
Hey, Fox! Isn't this music getting on your nerves?
It's about time you showed up, Fox.
General Pepper here!
You did it! I was worried for a moment.
You've got to go to the ice mountain!
This game plays a lot like an old school Zelda game, even down to the fact that you have to stand close to a ledge to jump. You don't have a dedicated button for it. It has pretty decent combat, really varied environments, a lot of good puzzles, but with the occasional really frustrating or just bullshit minigames. Like this one where you have to tilt the joystick back and forth for Fox not to get scared or something. It's like a test of courage. And every time you mess up, it takes like a good minute or two to get back. And none of these minigames are optional. I especially hate when the game forces turret sections on you multiple times towards the end of the game. It just gets really exhausting. But the rest of the gameplay is really enjoyable. I like the action-adventure style. The puzzles involving Tricky, which is this dinosaur dude that tags along with you for most of the game. Got a few secrets. It's pretty lengthy. It took me a good 15-16 hours to beat it the first time. So I guess spoiler alert, but surprisingly Falco isn't in this game except for a small cameo at the end, which is weird. So remember the main bad guy, General Scales? You don't even get to fight him. You instead fight the spirits, which turns out it's Andross. They try to explain that he resurrected himself using these spirits or whatever. It's weird. I don't get it. And then you basically have the same boss fight from Star Fox 64 with like a slight twist. And yeah, you save the day, Crystal joins your team, and that's that. Then we come to another controversial entry, which I guess every single entry in this franchise that came out after 64 is controversial. But anyways, Star Fox Assault was developed by Namco. It only came out a few months before they merged with Bandai. You know, the guys that make like a fuck ton of anime games. It has more of that classic Star Fox gameplay, but it does do some new stuff. Mainly the ground combat where you're running around, kind of like Star Wars Battlefront, where you're jumping in and out of vehicles. A lot of people don't like the way this controls. Honestly, I think it controls fine. It's sort of like tank controls, and I guess growing up with the Resident Evil games, I'm pretty used to it, but I do understand why people don't like it. It's a weird choice for this type of gameplay. I'm just talking about the default controls. I haven't tried changing them up. In these ground missions, you have to shoot a certain amount of targets, and finding them can be pretty annoying. I think the layout of the level design could have been much more clear, but I still like these missions. The part I don't like is when you have to stand on someone's wing and like shoot at a bunch of enemies flying towards you. It's just a turret section again. I don't know why or who thinks that Star Fox needs turret sections. Just let me fly and shoot, like come on. The normal type Star Fox missions where you just fly through areas and fight a boss at the end, those are honestly really fun. I keep coming back to play them every now and then. I like that this game goes for a much darker tone, because you gotta fight these guys called the Aperoids, and it's kind of like the Flood from Halo, but it can take over both organic matter and technology. And towards the end of the game, it starts using voices from people that Star Fox cares about and trying to manipulate them into letting it live. I don't know, it's really creepy and I'm here for it. I just don't get why they use motion capture. It looks really dumb. It doesn't fit these designs at all. It only has 10 missions, which is less than even the Super Nintendo game, but all the missions have multiple sections to them and they are fairly lengthy, so it's got a good amount of content. The one thing that bums me is that there's no alternate routes or endings. There's only the one way that the story goes, and that's that. But that being said, I feel like they do such a good job with it that honestly I don't mind it. And I just like seeing the story and the characters continue to grow. And overall I thought it was a pretty good game. The next game is on the Nintendo DS and it's called Star Fox Command. It was made by Q Games and Nintendo, and I can't stand it. It's easily the least diverse out of all the Star Fox games. You only have all range mode missions, which are the ones where you can fly in any direction and shoot down enemies, which Star Fox 64 and Assault both had, but they had, you know, other mission types too. It doesn't have any regular missions where you're flying through obstacles. It has a few boss fights, but I didn't care about any of them. I think my favorite part of the game was the command sections, or whatever you want to call them. You gotta strategize and figure out where to send people, and figure out which enemies to shoot with missiles, so that they don't reach your mothership, because that's when it's game over. Either that, or you fail to defeat all the enemies before you use up all your turns. Not only does this game lack variety, but it also has a really weird control scheme. It's a DS game, so obviously every single thing ever has to be touch controls except for the normal shooting button, and that's it. I don't want to make it sound like I hate all touch controls or all motion controls. I just feel like some game franchises don't need it. So to do a barrel roll, you gotta draw a circle. To speed up and slow down, you tap the upper part of the bottom part of the screen, which is really awkward in my opinion, because you stop steering the R-wing for like half a second every time you want to speed up, and then if you want to keep boosting, you have to press down on the touchpad immediately again, otherwise you'll just get a short burst. So chasing after someone really fast and shooting at the same time is super awkward. Using bombs is the only part I really like, because you just drop them in and you watch everything explode. It's super satisfying. I don't have any fun redoing missions in this game, and you have to do that if you want to see each ending. There are 9 endings in this game, and the only way to see all the endings is to play through the game, get one key, use that key to unlock one new part, and then you keep doing that until you've unlocked every part that you can go through. This game is slow, repetitive, and severely lacking in variety. Just take down a certain amount of targets and that's it. So in this game, the anglers are the main threat. They're basically just like evil fish people. These enemies have no build up. They're so fucking uninteresting. I just couldn't possibly care less about them. I don't know their names or why they want to take over the Lilat system, and honestly I don't care. I got one ending and I refuse to play it again. And the ending you get by default is an ending where Fox ends up alone and unloved. You might think I'm joking, that is literally what the game says. Of course you have other endings, like ones where Crystal and Fox are happy ever after and whatever. It's just really weird to me that the default ending is so mean. It's not like I'm super invested in this drama or anything, it's just fucking weird. But my point is that the story in this game sucks. It's really boring and I don't care. It took a full decade to get another Star Fox game, and that's Star Fox Zero, developed by Platinum, the people that made Bayonetta. Interesting choice. This is actually the first Star Fox game I played. I bought it when it came out and I couldn't really get into it, and it seems like most people didn't either. It sold really poorly. So it is the best looking Star Fox game, but that's kind of the biggest compliment I can give it. Honestly, I think it's a better game than Command. It's another reboot, so it's the same thing as the Super Nintendo game N64, with better graphics but worse controls. And the game will force you into this walker mode, and when that happens you have to tilt the gamepad up and down to aim. The game will also force you into a first person mode, and that can get pretty disorienting. Also, the cockpit view in Star Fox 64, it actually has a modeled and textured interior, but in this game it's just signified by like weird green lines. It has the tank missions as well, which are fine, but what I fucking hate are the gyro wing missions. They are so slow. This game only has 12 stages, which again is less than the Super Nintendo game. The only mission I really enjoyed was Sector Omega. It's super fast paced and satisfying, but otherwise I feel like the game just comes across being kinda bland. I think it's a decent game, but it needed more development time. It feels like it got rushed. There's just not enough there. I didn't play the Super Nintendo one until after I played most of the other ones, but honestly I don't have much to say about it. It's super graphically impressive. I think it's pretty enjoyable, it's just that I suck at it. I'm terrible at the Super Nintendo Star Fox game. But it's good and I have a lot of respect for it. I don't have a lot to say about it. Of course we have the unreleased Star Fox 2, which I haven't beaten. I cannot believe this is a Super Nintendo game. It looks so good for what it is. Maybe one day I'll beat it, but for now I just wanted to focus on all the games that have actually released. So yeah, that's what I have to say about Star Fox. It's a good series, but it's only had 6 games released from 93 until now. That's 28 years. Not counting Guard, which is like a tower defense game. 6 games in 28 years. That is so little for a Nintendo franchise, but it's still better than F-Zero. I really want to see it come back. If you're wondering, this is how I would rate the games, with Command as my least favorite and 64 as my most favorite. Thanks to Longplay Archives for letting me use some footage. I put links in the description for all the footage I used that wasn't filmed by me.